Guys, what is going on? It is Nate the Game Guy coming back with another video. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, the future of physical media when it comes to video games is just not looking good lately. There's been a lot of stuff that's been going on around the news and just things that have been going on within the climate of the gaming industry that just are not looking great if you're somebody that values physical media. And there's definitely some things to be concerned about that. So in this video, I'm going to share with you guys some of my top concerns about some of the things that I've been hearing lately when it comes to physical media, when it comes to video games. It's definitely something that I do take relatively seriously, do pay attention to, because after all, I do feel like physical media is the best way to own said game, movie, song, whatever the case may be. Of course, we're going to dive right into these different subjects all around basically why physical media when it comes to video games is essentially under threat. So without further ado, let's dive right into this video subject and take a look at some of these top concerns of mine when it comes to the state of physical media when it comes to video games, right after the intro. Now, this is definitely something that has been gaining a lot of attention within the gaming community lately. This isn't really news anymore. I mean, it's talked about, but it's not really new anymore at this point. So what exactly am I talking about? I'm talking about games where even though they're physical games, at the end of the day, they're not really physical games. What do I mean by this? A great example, especially what's been talked about lately, are the Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards. Now, literally, this is the only Nintendo Switch 2 game that I've got. I've already discussed about why I haven't really gotten any games for the Switch 2. I'm not really going to go into this video, but honestly, this is something that really highlights where the gaming industry is headed towards. Essentially, even though they are still selling games that are on physical media, at the end of the day, these game key cards, all it essentially is just a license and permission for you to actually play the game. So once you pop that game into your Switch 2, then you have the permission of like, oh yeah, you can play this game and all that wonderful stuff. But even though you went to the store, or you either had this shipped back to your house or whatever, this isn't really a physical game. All it is just a license and permission on a physical product, or in a physical product, whatever you want to call it. It's not like the days where you had a cartridge, you just pop it into the console, or you had a disc, pop it into the console. It's yours to own forever. Not with the Switch 2, with these game key cards. And let's face it, this isn't really something that's essentially new at this point. There's been a couple games already that haven't been like on the Switch 2, where essentially they've been working just like that on Xbox consoles and like the newer PlayStation consoles with PS5 and even PS4 games, right? I mean, this isn't really something new, but with everything that's been going on with the Switch 2, this is a concern that has been gaining a lot of attention within the gaming community. I'm certainly glad that it's gaining as much attention as it is already, is because I think it will help highlight just exactly what's really going on within the gaming industry. Now, of course, this is definitely something that has been talked about quite a bit with Switch 2 news lately, and that is the fact that there have been people that have been buying used games and getting their consoles bricked. Now, that is not a good sign at all. That is really Nintendo really cracking down on the used games market. And as somebody who hasn't really owned a Switch 2 for that long now and has only one game for it, I mean, if trends continue like this, I could truthfully say in a few years, my Switch 2 collection is going to be really, really, really small. Like, I'm not going to be standing next to a wall where it's just covered in Switch 2 games, literally because of that reason. I mean, if that were the case with like all game consoles or whatever, I could tell you one thing: I would not be standing in a room where I would be surrounded by video games. That would not be the case. And what concerns me about that is, even though you could make the argument that, oh, it's just Nintendo, well, you know, who's not to say that Microsoft and Sony aren't paying attention to what's going on? You know, that could be something that could be trickling into other industries too. I mean, especially with like the car industry. I mean, there were a lot of things with the car industry that used to be, I don't want to say like a standard, but you know, they were just kind of already kind of expected, where like people have to pay like an extra premium for like heated seats and for like a subscription for like that type of stuff, and that's just not a good way. So of course, with that type of model where it's like, hey, you know, we can break your system just for something like buying a used game, you know, that opens up the floodgates for a lot of problems, not just within the gaming industry, but also other industries outside of gaming. Sometimes you just got to think out of the box and just kind of think, wow, you know, if this is something that's going on within gaming, who's not to say this might trickle into other industries as well? But I will say one thing: with Nintendo having that stance of how they're bricking games for people buying used games, I mean, that's not good, because like I said, that may give the opportunity to Sony and Microsoft. And of course, you know, thank goodness that they are getting backlash for bricking consoles, for you know, people buying used games and then they're having their consoles bricked. Thank God there's backlash for that, because that just cannot go on for obvious reasons. You know, it's just got to change some way or the other. Now, this is definitely a big thing worth talking about, and that is the Stop Killing Games movement. Now, if you are a viewer that's from the United Kingdom that's watching this video, I strongly encourage that you do check out the link down below when it comes to the Stop Killing Games movement. Essentially, what's going on is, over in the UK, there is a petition going on that's gaining a lot of traction and seems to be going pretty all right. It's essentially all about making sure that developers and publishers, you know, with games that a lot of times they don't have a set expiration date now at this point, and essentially with this whole all digital future thing, essentially like if the servers shut down or like the publishers or developers stop supporting the game, you know, the game is essentially dead. So that's how you get the name Stop Killing Games. It's definitely something that you should support if you are a viewer from the UK and you're somebody that really cares about game preservation and ownership and that type of wonderful stuff. Definitely brings me a smile to my face seeing how there are people over there that are willing to support physical games as much as they are. And I feel like this isn't just like any type of petition that you normally see over the years when it comes to the gaming industry as a whole. You've got a whole bunch of AAA studios that are actually trying to push back on this movement. Of course, you've got your usual suspects like Nintendo, EA, Activision, but unfortunately, I've seen some on there, such as Sega, who I would imagine wouldn't be trying to lobby against the government when it comes to this type of issue, but here they are. Now, granted, I like to keep this channel to be as not political as possible. I like to have everything be all about games, all that wonderful stuff. However, I am willing to make an exception with this type of subject right here, because after all, this is a game collecting channel where I clearly do care about physical ownership and, of course, game preservation. And if you're somebody that really does care about that, again, being the broken record, if you are from the UK, strongly recommend that you do check out the petition. I'll link it down in the description down below. But I do think seeing that movement really puts a highlight onto essentially where we're at when it comes to the climate of physical games. Now, clearly, it's no secret whatsoever that the gaming industry is really wanting to push the concept of essentially going into an all-digital future with games. as a whole. And especially with 3 major releases with the Xbox brand. Granted, despite with the decline of the Xbox brand over the past several years, seeing games such as Gears Reloaded, Outer Worlds 2, and Ninja Gaiden 4, all games that are going to be digital only on Xbox, again, that's not a good sign. I mean, that really shows that they're really trying to push for an all digital future. And really, I'll touch on this as quick as I can. The problem is with an all digital future is essentially you just don't own the game. You own the license. You're just buying permission to actually play the game. You don't own the game. When you buy a physical copy of a game, it's essentially yours forever as long as you take good care of it. Of course, unfortunately, we got some recent exceptions, as I've mentioned earlier, and hope things do change with that. Especially since we're seeing a lot of these big major titles on the Xbox brand that are essentially going to be all digital only if you buy them on Xbox. Clearly, this isn't a new concept. I mean, after all, Alan Wake 2, there was a lot of concern that a lot of developers, a lot of publishers would be watching the sales of Alan Wake 2 to see how that folds out and all that wonderful stuff. And I think, unfortunately, it's definitely a sign that clearly, as I've mentioned before, the industry's really trying to push for an all-digital future. And if you're somebody that really enjoys game collecting, you enjoy game preservation, and the sense of ownership, I mean, these are definitely things to take notice of and watch out, and just essentially have a little bit of awareness of exactly what is going on in modern times. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out my video. Please be sure to check out these videos here, and here. After all, I post a lot of content when it comes to game collecting tips, and other video game related subjects. So be sure to keep an eye out every Monday and Friday where I upload consistently, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.